Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Caregiver and Spoonie podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Banderas. Just a quick reminder, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of the podcast. And also thank you for all the support, the emails that I have received, the comments, the likes, and everything that I have received. I like it. I like the feedback. I have received some good feedback and some ideas and also topics that you guys want me to discuss on this episode, which we will address at one point on its respective episodes. So I thank you for everything that you guys have provided me, and let's get started with today's episode. So somebody sent me a question asking me, like, after everything that I have gone through, like, what's my opinion about myself, or what do I think about myself? And after everything that I went through, going through everything with my wife, therapy and everything, I feel or I think that I'm a never-ending learner. Like, after I decided to start learning more about my wife's conditions, I realized that I can learn, and I can learn very fast. So I've been able to learn more. That I've been able to learn more about how to do the podcast. I've been able to learn more about what I talk about. So that actually makes me feel good, because I technically won't fail unless I quit. So that's just my new mentality. It's like, I won't fail unless I quit. And if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to ask for help. So that's my opinion about me. Is like, I see myself grow that way. Now, let me ask you this, because I already answered the question. Now, let me ask you this. Since somebody from the other side of the camera sent me this question, is like, what's your opinion about yourself? That's actually very important, because before I started all this, like, self-discovery journey and everything, the opinion about myself was very low. Like, I thought I was dumb. I was never able to learn. I had bad programming. Let's just say, like, all of these things that other people made me feel about it made me feel bad about myself. So I didn't really thought that I could do what I'm doing right now. So now, by me doing what I'm doing right now, it's kind of like, I know I can do it. And that's one of the things that, as Spoonies, you need to realize, like, what's the opinion about yourself? What opinion do you have about yourself? And that's very important, because if you have a bad opinion about yourself, then how do you expect to maybe not get a 100% better, but some percentage? Because if you have a bad opinion about yourself, like, oh, I'm a loser, I'm dumb, I'm this, I'm whatever you feel due to external circumstances, right now, what you're fighting, what you're going through, is going to make it even worse. And that is completely true. If you're going through something right now, you might understand this. And even if you're not, at one point, if you know somebody that is actually going through something like that, you might be able to understand it because of what I'm explaining. But it is very important to know exactly what you feel about yourself, or how you feel about yourself, or what's your opinion about yourself. Like, if you have a bad opinion about yourself, like, oh, I'm sick, I'll be sick all my life, I'll never get better, then you won't get better. Why? Because you're already telling yourself, like, I'm always gonna be sick. So the problem, and this is one of the things that Western medicine doesn't really tell us, is that in our minds, whatever we decide, it's going to happen. And that is so true. I've been reading a lot and studying a lot about Eastern medicine. And Eastern medicine, what they do is that they literally make your body connect with your mind. Like, it gets your body in tune. And there's so many stories, and I have shared some of these stories, where if you believe you can do it, you do it. You know, like Nick Santorazo, and I'm sorry again, I can't pronounce the last name, Inky Johnson, and there's so many. There's a documentary on Netflix called Heal, which I recommend. And it talks about this doctor called Joe Dispenza. I think that's what his last name is, and I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But literally, what happened is like he broke his back. He was supposed to have a surgery in his back. He's all like, no, I'm not gonna have surgery. So he started imagining that his body was fixing his spine, and this is true. There's so many cases like that. It happened. His body literally healed itself. But the reason how he was able to do it is that he was able to tune his body with his mind. And the only way to do that is to know exactly what's your opinion about yourself. And if you have a bad opinion about yourself, you have to change that. And I can say that this works because before, like I said, I didn't really like myself. I didn't like anything about me. I was literally depressed, down all the time. But then I started seeing that I could learn new things. I could improve myself. And most of the improvement that I have done is thanks to my wife. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. So it is very important to know you. And one of the things that you're going to have to do once you know the exact opinion that you have about yourself is, especially if it's a bad opinion, you have to ask yourself, how come I have this opinion? Now, when you do that, you're gonna dig. Your mind is gonna dig. Your memories is gonna dig through everything to find that answer. So you might not like what you find, but that doesn't mean that you're lying to yourself about that memory, okay? So if you find something that somebody said, something happened when you were growing up or something, if you find the root of that opinion, in this situation, the only thing that I can tell you is like, try to deal with it. Try to find out why that affected you. That's something that I have done lately. I have shared the story about the baby bottle, which is true. I have shared all my stories in the blog, or most of my stories, like the main stories in my blog. So from growing up like that, as you can, if you have listened to my blog, obviously I had low self-esteem. So what's gonna happen when you have low self-esteem? You're not gonna like yourself. And I didn't really like myself until now, because unfortunately one of the things that's been happening is that everybody wants to be like somebody else. Especially if you're a Spoonie. If you're a Spoonie and you're suffering right now, you want to get out of that suffering. But the thing is that instead of us finding out how come this is making us suffer so bad, we just want to skip all of that and get like the magic pill, which unfortunately doesn't work. And I'm not talking about anybody in specific. I have just heard people talking like when they say like, oh, I have anxiety, I want my pill, even though this pill doesn't work. It's like, okay, if it doesn't work, then we have to try something else. You can't stop just trying. And that's the thing, is like, you can't just give in to your opinion about yourself. You have to find out why you have that opinion. If it's a good opinion, keep it, embrace it. If it's a bad opinion, this is one of the things that I had to do with myself. I had to embrace it. I had to be like, okay, this is the opinion that I have about myself. How come? Once I figure out why, like after very much going to therapy and talking about all these things, I'm like, this is the reason why I didn't ever believe in myself. Like, I never believed in myself because when somebody literally asked me to believe in myself, like in this case my uncle, he told me that he was going to take me to Disneyland if I did good in school. I did good in school, and what happened is like, oh, you didn't do good enough. So I felt like, oh, I'm never going to be good enough. So that was my thinking from childhood. Now at 33 years old, I was able to change that. So it's never too late to change the opinion that you have about yourself. That's the thing. It's like, never give up. It's never too late. I was looking at the news today, and it talks about Vera Wong, how she's like, 70 years old, but she doesn't look like 70. She looks like 40, and she started in her 40s. That's one of the things, is like she started living her dream in her 40s. So it doesn't matter what age you're at, what circumstances you have going on. Don't let those circumstances, or don't let your life define you. You can always change. It all starts with one opinion, your opinion about yourself. That is the most important opinion that you have to believe, and you have to embrace, and that you have to actually cultivate. Because if you don't have a good opinion about yourself, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're never going to get better. You're never going to feel good enough, because you don't even like yourself. Believe me, I have gone through this. I never really liked myself until now, and now that I really love myself. I can be myself. I can be more talkative. I can be more myself. So don't be afraid of loving yourself, because a lot of people want something. This is what something told me the other day, is that I feel like if I love myself while I'm sick, I'm telling myself that it's okay to be sick. And when I responded to that person, I said, like, well, technically it is okay to be sick, but it's better for you to find the solution to get better. That's what we have to do. That's what I did. That's what I'm doing for my wife. That's why I like to do this, because I like to tell you, like, hey, it's possible. It's not easy. It's never going to be easy. It's gonna take time. It has taken me a lot of time to get to this point. It's gonna take you time to get to a certain point where you feel good about yourself. But the thing is that you never have to give up. Don't stop trying. You're gonna feel good at one point, and you're gonna have to embrace it. You're gonna feel sick. You're gonna feel miserable, but you also have to embrace it. You have to embrace everything that comes to you, the good, the bad, and that's what's gonna form the opinion, the best opinion about yourself. Because if you embrace the bad and you can get to this, you can be like, it wasn't as bad. So now I have a few good days. I'm gonna embrace them as well. So you start enjoying the process pretty much. And that's one thing. We don't like to enjoy long processes, and this is the longest process. This process of self-development, self-improvement, or getting better, it never ends. It lasts your entire life. So this is the point where you can make a definitive change in your life, and it all starts with your opinion about yourself. Like I said, this does work. I feel very good about myself, and if you feel good about yourself, it's actually the best. It's actually the best, because I don't know if I have talked about this. There's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. And he talks about the mind, like whatever you believe, if it's good, anybody that talks crap about you, then you won't care, because you believe in yourself. You have a definitive opinion about yourself. So that's what we have to do. If we do something like that, whatever illness we're facing is not going to be able to bring us down. In fact, we're going to be able to get better. So that's what I wanted to talk about today in today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you know somebody that's going through something similar, don't forget to share, like, subscribe. And also, if you want to share your story, you can send it to me at the Caregiver and Spoonie at gmail.com. You can also send me topics that you want me to talk about, because in reality, we all have similar stories. So you might send me your story, and I might come up with more topics. So and like I always say, stories are powerful. That's why I like to share them. So that's it for today. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and good changes are coming to the podcast soon. So I hope you guys love them just like I'm loving all this process. And thank you for everything. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me your time. And I leave you with this. Always take care of yourself.